So in this video, we'll look at a possible way to work backward from the answer choices for those hopefully rare situations in which you're just having trouble making sense of the sentence itself. We want to emphasize that this is a plan B. We don't want to make this our go-to strategy, but since we've devoted quite a few videos to our go-to strategy and all its different variations depending on the type of sentence, we'll at least take one video to look at a way that we might work backward. And the first thing to note in regard to this plan B sort of approach is that we have three possible configurations in terms of how the answer choices relate to each other. One of them is that we could have three pairs of synonyms, so clarity and cogency, brevity and economy, comprehensiveness and thoroughness. So we have three pairs of synonyms. Fairly straightforward. Another possibility is that we have two pairs of synonyms plus two unpaired words, so beholden to and indebted to, derivative of and based on, distinguished by and biased against. And the fact that these first two are paired and the next two are paired, that's just kind of a coincidence here. So they can be spread throughout, but the key is that you've got two pairs and then two individual words. And then our third possibility is that you could have one pair and then four individual words. So matched and paralleled, politicized, obviated, that basically means to eliminate something, to obviate the need for such and such, means to get rid of the need for whatever that thing is. Accelerated, sped up, created. So all four of these words that are not in red mean different things, and so we just have one pair of synonyms in that case. Now, of those, the most common configuration is two pairs of synonyms plus two unpaired words. We don't have exact statistics on this, but over half the time, this is what you'll encounter. So that means that the three pairs of synonyms and the one pair of synonyms, those are less common. But thinking about this mathematically, if you can identify a pair of synonyms among the answer choices, you have a roughly 50% chance that that pair makes up the correct answer. 50% is not the greatest, but it's better than the chance that you would have by guessing randomly. So this would mean purely randomly, you pick two options. We don't need to get into the math of how to calculate that probability, but it would be about a 7% chance, so not very good. So again, this is a plan B, not a plan A, but it's something that can be used in certain situations. So in this case, what we're going to do is to ignore the sentence because we want to assume that we have misunderstood it. We've read it and we just don't know what's going on. So we're not going to worry about the sentence in this case, and we're just going to look at the answer choices. What does it mean to conjure up something? It means to make something materialize, to sort of create from out of nothing. To covet is to really want something. If you covet your neighbor's possessions, your neighbor's big screen TV or riding a lawnmower or something like that, you really want it. So far those words have nothing in common. Deflect. Well, deflect could mean to fend off like an attacker or perhaps a compliment. To grasp is to grab onto something or potentially to understand something. So out of the corner of our eye, we see grasp and understand, and we might say, haha, those could be synonyms. Shrug off and deflect. Those could be synonyms. So what we have here is the two pairs of words and two individual words. So again, for whatever reason, if we just could not understand the sentence at all, we would either want to check this one and this one, or this one and this one. So 50-50. Now, the challenge is that deciding whether two words are a synonym is often going to be dependent on the context. So if you're talking about grasping onto a handhold, you're trying to climb up a mountain or climb up a building. In that sense, grasp and understand are not synonyms, but we'll set aside that kind of fine point for now and just say that, if all else fails and you do find a pair of synonyms, they have a decent chance of being correct. And we'll look at one other example here, one that we already looked at earlier. Let's just look at the answer choices. So astonishing, disordered, harmless, inscrutable, hard to understand, hard to make sense of, revealing, uninformative. So in this case, we're talking about dreams. Well, uninformative and inscrutable are synonyms. As for the others, there's really no connection between these other words. Astonishing, shocking, disordered, harmless, revealing. So again, perhaps easier said than done, or you might say that it's unlikely that someone would know the meanings of these words without knowing the meaning of the sentence. But in any event, if you can detect that there is a pair of synonyms, it has a decent chance of being correct. And in this case, that's really the only pair of synonyms. So that is our correct answer. But again, we call this Plan B for a reason, because Plan A is what we want as our go-to strategy, and this should be something that you know forward and backward by now. But reading the sentence, identifying the keyword clue and transition, coming up with your own word, selecting the two answers that match it, and hopefully this has become something like a habit or even an instinct by now.